You might remember this lady if you saw my 20-minute compilation of liberals celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. She was one of them, this Philadelphia lady. Actually, she's not a Philadelphia lady, if I remember correctly. She's actually from California, which won't come as a surprise to anyone. I'm not going to say her name. You can find it out pretty easily if you really want to, but I won't do that here. Just know she's made a mess of her entire life after posting this on TikTok when Charlie Kirk was tragically shot.
Gather round, bitches. Let's all join hands and bow our heads in thoughts and prayers for Charlie Kirk. Thoughts and prayers for Charlie Kirk. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers.
Now, in my day-to-day personal life, I try to say it pretty much every day to at least someone because I like to gauge their reaction when I do, and I like to spread this as a truth because it is. Liberal white women are one of the ultimate biggest diseases to American society currently. And this is a great example of that. And unfortunately for her husband, I should say, who she claims is only her boyfriend, and she might be telling the truth on that, she might not be. But unfortunately for that poor sap who has to put up with this nonsense on a day-to-day basis, she completely ruined not only her life by posting this, but his life as well. This is her the next day or two after celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, where she kind of tries to walk it back in a way where she doesn't want to be attacked anymore on social media for doing that, for celebrating his death. But then, weirdly enough, as time goes on, she goes off on this emotional tangent rant and winds up doubling down on how she handled the news of Charlie Kirk's death.
There was another school shooting today in Denver, and 3 students were injured. And obviously the news is only going to be talking about the fact that Charlie Kirk was also in a school shooting today. He was shot while speaking at a school. And I know a lot of people are mad at me because I posted a thoughts and prayers video for him, which I just want to clarify something. The exact reason why I posted what I posted is because not even minutes after we found out that Charlie Kirk was shot, we found out that 3 more children were shot at school. So yeah, I care about the innocent children who go to school to learn, to get an education, who are children, minors, who are senselessly gunned down at school for doing nothing, for wanting to go and learn. I lose my sympathy a little bit when someone uses his entire life and his entire platform to spread racism, hate, bigotry, misogyny, anti-trans, anti-gay rhetoric. I mean, everything you can imagine this man has done. And not only that, he himself has said that some deaths are worth it so we can have the Second Amendment right. And some amount of gun violence is worth it to obtain our Second Amendment right. So yeah, my sympathy lie with the innocent children and not with Charlie Kirk. And I offer him thoughts and prayers, which is what he can offer us after every time a child is senselessly gunned down at school. I hope, and I truly actually hope, he makes a full recovery so he can go on to become a gun violence and a gun control advocate. But most likely he won't do that, even if he does make a full recovery.
And so there you go. Even in her damage control post, this bimbo couldn't get her act together to be able to at least try to humble herself and control the damage that was incoming to her personal life. She just wound up doubling down at the end. Well, this is what he said. The same nonsense liberal rhetoric of, well, he said some gun deaths are necessary for our Second Amendment right to exist, as if we haven't heard that a gazillion times already. Or how the virtue signaling with the school shootings. Her first video had nothing to do with that. She literally was just creating that first video to gloat about how a right-wing prominent conservative speaker and activist was fatally shot in the neck, and she knew it. She knew it. And that's all she was doing. She didn't mention anything in her first video about school shootings. She wasn't there to take that stand. She's using it as a cop-out, and it's actually making her look more reprehensible, more despicable, and just showing off how disgusting she is, along with all the other liberal white women in this country. They're all disgusting. And because of her inability to backtrack and to, first of all, just delete the video, which she took too long to do. She ultimately deleted it, but she took too long. She left it up way too long. Then she just tried to walk it back and failed. She failed to even apologize. She just came up with excuses and deflections on why she did what she did and virtue signaled about school shootings that nobody believed and yada, yada, yada. And because she failed at damage control there, she wound up causing her husband or boyfriend's business. He owns a business, apparently. They found it. Conservatives found it. Cancel culture's on our side now. We know this. We're employing it against the liberals. And they got him good. They tanked his business on Yelp. They've bombed him with bad reviews. They've ruined his life, and as a result, her life too. And this is the final video of her now addressing that.
September 10th, when Charlie Kirk was shot, I posted a video offering him the same thoughts and prayers that he offered after every child was senselessly gunned down while at school. Within an hour, and before any condition was known on Charlie, I posted a follow-up video expressing why I felt the way I did, and even ended with, I hope Charlie Kirk makes a full recovery and goes on to become a gun violence advocate.
Now I know what you're thinking here. This is the part where she finally apologizes and walks back all of her statements and says she was wrong and announces to the world that she is a ginormous white liberal piece of shit woman who celebrated the death of an innocent man, and she sees the error in her ways. She then goes on to say Charlie Kirk only was using his freedom of speech, encouraging open discourse and debate, and that he didn't deserve his fate. Certainly, this woman, after having her own private life ruined, won't be here to triple down on her statements, will she?
Since if you have watched any of the videos on my page, you would know I stand firmly on not being violent and that violence is not the way we are going to fix things in this country. Well, since I posted those two videos, my life has been completely turned upside down and I have been thrown into what I can only explain as literal hell. First, my address was leaked, and then all of my family's personal information followed. My boyfriend's company, again, I said he's my boyfriend, he is not my husband, that has absolutely nothing to do with TikTok, with my TikTok account, or social media, or politics in general, has been defamed and slandered. Calls and negative reviews started pouring in by the thousands. Someone showed up to his company, entered his private office, and verbally assaulted him. My child, and my family's lives have been threatened thousands of times. I have received text messages and emails saying I should be raped and murdered and that people are coming to my house, say my address, and then say they are coming to spray it with bullets. MAGA protesters have shown up to my house, driven through my private neighborhood, sent me hate mail, left notes on my boyfriend's office, and my own neighbor has offered to share my whereabouts with the internet. Yes, you heard that correctly. My neighbor has offered to share my whereabouts with the internet. We have been traumatized and stripped of our privacy, all because I said Charlie Kirk, who did not believe in empathy himself, did not have mine. I think the most ironic thing is that my life and my family's lives have been torn apart over my words on the internet by the very people who support Charlie Kirk and are always yelling the loudest about their First Amendment right and freedoms of speech. And while I realize and believe strongly that words have consequences, there is nothing that I did or said that even deserved a percentage of what happened to me and my family. And I know I am not the only one whose life has been destroyed over this. Hundreds, if not thousands, of other content creators on this very app have been fired from their jobs and doxxed.
And so there it is. It's, believe it or not, the triple down. She's not here to apologize for her disgusting comments. She's here to triple down and say Charlie Kirk still doesn't have her empathy. Charlie Kirk deserved what he got. And then, ironically and hypocritically, she's here to ask for your empathy, to gather your sympathy for her, ruining her own life and her boyfriend's life. And then on top of it, has the gall to say that while words have consequences, she has to say that because she believes that when it comes to Charlie Kirk. She believes that words have such strict consequences that you can say the wrong thing and you deserve to be murdered for it. But then simultaneously, in the next sentence, says that her words don't deserve the consequences that she's now getting. And in truth, I will of course advocate for zero violence. We should not be doxing people. That much I will say. But on the flip side, if you're going to be a disgusting liberal on social media and you're going to use your real full name on an account while doing so, what do you expect? It's the internet. She wants our empathy, but gave none to Charlie Kirk. So you'll have to forgive me for saying she doesn't have my empathy at all.
And I must say, that really terrifies me because it makes it clear that these people only want us to have the First Amendment right and freedom of speech when it fits their narrative. That is not the country I was born in, and that is certainly not the country I want to raise my child in. So today I come to you with a few calls to action. First, if you or anybody you know has been doxxed, harassed, threatened, or fired, please reach out to me via email.
I just want to take a moment to laugh once again about the irony it just goes right over her head. She doesn't realize what she's saying. She's literally on one side advocating for what happened to Charlie Kirk because he used free speech, while on the other side complaining about how her free speech came with a bunch of consequences that she didn't like. And then she goes on to say she doesn't want to raise her children in this country anymore because it's not the country she grew up in. Please, by all means, get the hell out of our country then. Take your rotten, disgusting children with you that will no doubt be raised to be liberals. And I'm sure you're actually in the process of transgendering at least one of them right now for your own virtue signaling purposes on your social media, you disgusting bitch. But then on top of it, please leave the country and do not have any more kids. It's actually disgusting to me that you have children to begin with.
Secondly, please consider attending your local No Kings Part 2 protest on October 18th. And third, if you are a California resident, please get out and vote yes in person on November 4th on Prop 50, the Election Rigging Response Act. I'll end with this. Right now, the most important thing we can do is support each other. Fascism hates community. So right now, we must build community.
What an absolute dunce. And, you know, she ends it with some liberal activism calling for them to support Proposition 50 in California, the Election Rigging Response Act. This is her pathetic attempt to fight back and feel like she's getting vindicated. That's, of course, the Gavin Newsom bill that he wants to sign into effect that will literally take away the rights of California state citizens when it comes to redistricting their own lines. Gavin Newsom wants to seize control of that from them so that he can gerrymander California even more in response to Texas's lawful redistricting. But, you know, the whole thing is, what a disgusting, idiotic, by the way to ruin your life. Celebrating the death of an innocent man and then not knowing how to walk it back. Accountability goes right over her head. Her boyfriend's business is ruined. Her life is ruined. And I don't advocate for the doxing or violence of anything centered around that woman's life. That's reprehensible. You should never do that to someone. However, if she doesn't want to deploy empathy for an innocent man who is a father and a good husband, then I will deploy zero empathy back, especially when she has a pattern of being a gross liberal activist on TikTok before. This is an older video that I wound up digging up from her where she was discussing Target and how it was time to boycott Target because they got rid of a lot of their transgender LGBTQ plus crap clothing and merchandise out of their stores. And they were essentially removing a lot of DEI nonsense from their stores. So she wanted to boycott them. But on the flip side, she also said that Target could make amends by reinstituting all that stuff and then her words, you'll hear them in a second. Literally, she says they could really make it up to her by banning conservative Christian white men from shopping in their stores.
Because they support us. But yes, we are not going back to Target. Not now, not ever. I don't fucking care. They could literally say that they only support DEI. Actually, in that case, we might go back. If they said no white, straight Christian males allowed. It might be like a really safe place, but that's for a different time.
Yeah, she sat there making that video thinking she was so cute. And the problem is with these people, they live in a complete echo chamber that bounces all of their thoughts and ideas back to them and says, yeah, that's a good idea. And that's the popular idea. It's not. She looks stupid. And that video right there is the neat little bow that I wanted to tie up on this gift to all of you, where you could hopefully get to watch the complete fallout and destruction as a result of the consequences she's now facing for celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. And may many more liberals face a similar fate. Again, without the violence, without the doxing, but let's dish out some real consequences to them. The same consequences, mind you, that they've been telling us for years come with freedom of speech. It's always been the liberals to remind us that freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences. They just don't like it now that the tables are turned. But turnabout is always fair play.